Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I'm here on behalf of the European Energy Research Alliance that, as already has been said, it's the research pillar of the SET plan. My expectations regarding the question, regarding the action plan, I think this action plan comes after a big exercise that was done within the European Commission, and that involved the research area, involved the European Energy Research Alliance, involved as well the European Universities Alliance, involved all technological platforms, the where the European industrial initiatives, industrial associations, technological platforms were involved, and involved the Strategic Energy Technology Information System, all these stakeholders working for the European Commission and for the Member States. And this integrated roadmap, in what concerns the European Energy Research Alliance, was the contribution was made by consulting all the joint programs and asking them to give their priorities on research as long as they understood it's needed regarding industry needs and identifying the technology readiness levels. So this, in the end, this whole exercise that was put together by the Commission listed made a long list of priorities for Europe. And this exercise, in my opinion, was made in an inclusive way, so including industry, including research, and also taking into care the need to evaluate every steps we do to invest European money, which is very important. So maybe I'm a little bit more optimistic than you are, because I think that we have to take the most of this exercise. We have to monitor the results, evaluate, make loops behind if there is something to put in a better way, to go for TRLs, MBLs, investment readiness levels. But I think this exercise was very important to understand the needs of alignment of different member states in Europe. And this was good because I think today, in the morning, today and yesterday, we heard a lot about differences and about barriers that are put from those differences and how they prevent that our energy initiatives, our energy union, response goes to the needs of our own client, which is the consumer. So, but I think we already have a big path done so far.
Going to have the same. Oh, that's good. Thank you. Thank you very much to the panel. I thought there was some very insightful comments there, many of which chimed very much with me, and I think with some of the discussions we've had at the steering group. I think there was a common theme there, which is that an action plan needs to be action-orientated. It seems fairly obvious, but I think it's worth repeating. One of the things that I personally would like to see is a focus on dragging ideas and concepts and technologies out of the research space and into commercial deployment. I think that at times we focus a little too much on the research side of things, and research is no good to us unless it's actually got out there and used. So echoes of the comments from our EIB colleague. I'm not sure about dropping the T from set plan, but yeah, we would have to reprint a lot of material from today's event at least. I'd take the point more widely that this needs to be part of the wider system. It's not just about technology, it's about everything necessary to address the energy system. So thank you for that. I think we'll now turn to the more specific questions and ask any of the panel, do please chip in as you're going along and challenge things your colleagues are saying if you think it's appropriate. Hans Günther.
So, Paul, you talked about that we need to come closer to implementation. Now, of course, with implementation, always the question is, where does the money come from? And one thing that has been widely discussed leading up to Horizon 2020, but also in the starting time of this new framework program, is the structural funds. We know, we hear, we read that structural funds often cannot be addressed because there's certain demands on co-financing in the different countries. And the question remains then, how can they be mobilized in complementarity, or actually together with the actions in the energy field, the investments that we want to see, and also how can they be mobilized together with the research that we want to see happening. And I'd like to address this to Professor Bonaccorsi and ask everyone else then later on to chip in.
Thanks. I've been fast in my first answer. I probably need to expand a little bit. One of the key messages of the set plan and also of this conference is decentralization. The network is becoming more complex and integrated. This means that there is much more role for decentralization and also the active involvement of communities. This means that when we think of it in terms of policy levels, we are missing one key point, which is regional governments. We probably have a picture in which, in the past, larger national players were dealing directly with national governments and with the Commission. Now we must be aware that regions are, first of all, a key player in innovation policies. There is an interesting study by OECD, but also of course, from the Commission, that says regional governments are key players in innovation policies. Second, structural funds are subject to what is called the Lisbonization process, which means that an increasing share of structural funds is allocated to research and innovation, following a theory of growth that says that if you invest more in these areas, you prepare the conditions for future growth. So overall, the research, innovation, and digital agenda areas account for something similar in size to Horizon 2020 for the next period. And also, within research and innovation, there is an increasing role for energy-related issues and sustainability issues. It's too early to give a number, because the regions are currently negotiating their smart specialization strategies with the Commission in these months. And the picture will be ready mid-year 2015, if you want. But we know from different countries and regions, it's interesting to show how regions are putting issues related to energy into their smart specialization, either from the supply side, because they may have supply chains in their regional manufacturing sector, or on the demand side, because they do want to innovate at the community level in terms of various areas, from energy efficiency and buildings to smart cities and communities. For example, in Italy, I'm talking here not from my academic background, but as a policy advisor to the government in the support to smart specialization strategies of regions. No less than 15 out of 21 regions have put energy into their own smart specialization strategy to discuss with the community. to the Commission. Now, of course, this also creates a problem, because there is a risk of missing the critical mass of investment. So on one hand, we have a large opportunity to mobilize regional investment into this, because they will use structural funds and they will find a co-funding at regional level, which, if you want, is another source of funding which is more fragmented, but at the same time, in some cases, also more effective, or larger, if you want, than the national level. So here we have two main issues. One is how to combine the excellence-based criteria of research and innovation, which are independent on the place. You want to rank projects at the European level independently on where they are located, because you want to work in terms of excellence, or, if you want, performance or expected performance, on one hand. On the other hand, the place-based criteria, which are crucial for structural funds and also for regions, because these criteria follow, if you want, a logic of capability building, and of course you want that the investments are done in your region. The second related problem is governance, which was my first contribution, because when you put regions into the picture, of course the picture becomes more complex. You have more opportunities, but also more actors. There is a danger of what we call the fractal syndrome, which means that sometimes regions design their policies as a fractal of national policies, which themselves sometimes are the fractal of OECD or European Union level. So you want to cover all fields, you want to invest in a variety of fields, you have enormous difficulties in priority setting. So you need to put the regional governments into a coherent governance framework. As far as the challenge work is concerned, we are thinking of something that could be materialized in the first months of next year, which is a high-level steering group at national level, including, of course, the set plan representatives, the relevant ministries, the presidency, the regional governments that want to invest into energy-related research and innovation, academia, public research organizations, and industry. And you want them to ensure the consistency with the set plan, but also to identify the opportunities to co-fund European initiatives on regional money, putting together money from different regions and achieving the scale and critical mass needed to invest, and then announcing the themes in advance, so that on given themes, different regions may participate, having the time to adjust their administrative procedures, which is also an issue in the overall governance. Now, you also may want that this steering committee as a sort of consultation, or also trying to get the best practice that locally sometimes are available, sometimes at city level, there are very interesting things. You want to do some technological intelligence to avoid that you reinvent the wheel, and maybe you have already patented some of the innovations that people want to submit. And then you open the calls by asking regional governments to co-fund, leaving them free to do whatever they want on their own money if they don't have larger scale projects, but trying to achieve a critical mass. Now, it's of course unfeasible to involve regions at European level as they are 270 something. But at the national level, I think is crucial, and it's probably one of the most important things to do in terms of increasing the financial basis for the set plan, and mobilizing also structural funds for research and innovation that could be for these purposes available.